Part 37. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 362. Being grabbed by fate's throat, the priest's ghost eyes immediately widened. After learning that the person he was trading with brought a human being, he carefully hid it, waited for the opportunity, and finally seized the opportunity, just as he was about to strangle one to death. This human being was like a prophet, catching him with his backhand. This horse riding. What a lot of strength. I can't breathe. The priest's face turned red and his eyes rolled out. He stretched out his ghost claws and struggled desperately, trying to push away the sinful hand that was pinching his neck. However, this hand was like a tight curse, and it would be useless no matter how he broke free. Priest ghost. He was dumbfounded. The red grimace has begun to turn black and blue. His grandma's. You are a human being, why do you have so much strength? How many bears are there in one meal? Let go. Quickly let go. I am about to fall into a deep sleep while riding a horse. The priest ghost kept signaling with his eyes. At the same time, the body keeps retracting into the painting. See this? Shenjian smiled kindly. He pinched Pastor Ghost's palm and continued to exert force. The strength increased a bit. Diamond picture scroll, your supernatural power reminds me of another ghost hiding in the painting, but compared to her, you are a bit unspectacular. Shenjian raised his eyebrows. The priest ghost in front of me is no more than half a ghost king. The ghost paintings are guaranteed to be abyss level or even unsolvable level ghosts. In the picture scroll, even he couldn't find a trace. There is really no comparison between the two. Think of this. Shenjian shook his head. Then he looked at the priest ghost and grinned. You have made me wait for such a long time, Mr. Sun, you are quite patient. Pastor Ghost. MMP. After realizing that he couldn't break free from Shenjian's restraints, he immediately put away the resentment on his face and smiled dryly. Sir, how can I keep you waiting for so long? I said that I was originally a member of the Horror Art Museum, specializing in hiding in the scrolls to scare people. Do you believe it? The priest ghost became nervous. Explained carefully. Believe it, of course I believe it. You must have stretched your hand to my neck just to say hello to me cordially. Shenjian said in a serious tone. Then he looked at the priest ghost with a strange expression, paying special attention to the waist, heart and other places. Immediately afterwards, he took out another blood-stained scalpel. He seemed to be gesticulating something. Pastor Ghost? Damn it. Just speak. Okay, what are you doing with the knife? What the hell do you want to do? He was visibly panicked. The scalpel was very bright, and the cold light it emitted made his scalp numb, and the area where Shenjian had looked at it felt even more dull. A chill went straight from the soles of his feet to the sky. Panic flashed in the priest's ghostly eyes. He always felt that Shenjian's eyes were not polite, and often stared at his waist. Suddenly, he remembered something about this transaction. A dozen pairs of kidneys in good condition. Logically speaking, Happy Town strictly prohibits the killing of ghosts and harvesting organs. This behavior has been regarded as illegal and indiscipline. This kind of situation rarely happens in today's towns. But the other party still provided him with more than a dozen pairs of kidneys. So where did these kidneys come from? Think of this. The priest's heart skipped a beat. I am reminded of the kidney-cutting customer incident that has been circulating in Happy Town in recent days. It is said that this kidney cutter is the kidney of the ghost that humans love most. In just 2 days, more than 30 evil ghosts were brutally killed by him. Combined with the dozen pairs of kidneys to be traded today. The priest ghost seemed to understand something. He raised his head in disbelief. You are not the kidney cutter, are you? he said with a trembling tone. Damn it. No way. He wouldn't be so unlucky. Hear this. Shen Jian glanced at Scar Ghost. Scar Ghost shivered. He buried his head. He didn't dare to look at Shen Jian's eyes. Because the reason why this name can be spread can be said to be all his credit. Look back. Shen Jian nodded and said, It's me, so do you know what I want to do? As soon as these words came out, the priest ghost struggled harder. The canthus of the eyes is about to split. Grass. What a coincidence. If he fell into the hands of this human being, his waist would be at risk. He, a priest, has been walking on a tightrope all his life, walking on the edge of law and discipline, and is responsible for collecting organs from ghosts. Unexpectedly, he was caught by an organ dealer today. This is outrageous. Watching Shen Jian's scalpel getting closer and closer to him, the priest ghost was desperate. He was so frightened that his voice was trembling. Brother, no, Grandpa, although it is not illegal for humans to attack evil spirits, your behavior is immoral. Morality. Shen Jian had a strange look in his eyes and gestured to the scalpel in his hand. As long as my waist is fast enough, morality cannot catch up with me. Priest ghost. His eyes widened. Suddenly he remembered the time when he was still a priest in the cathedral. At that time, he once said, the law is the minimum standard of morality. As long as I have no morals, others cannot kidnap me. Apparently, this human being is determined to get his waist. Looking at the scalpel getting closer and closer to him, the priest ghost said in horror, Wait, human, your kidneys are just for money, I can redeem mine. Hear this. A bit of surprise flashed in Shen Jian's eyes. This was the first time he heard the answer that a ghost planned to redeem his kidneys. Think about it. Shen Jian said casually, then you bid. The priest's face lit up. Has hope. As long as you open his mouth, there is still hope of saving his waist. Humans, a pair of ghost kidneys are only worth 200,000 horror coins in the horror world. Even the kidneys of red-clad ghosts, the total value will not exceed 250,000. But in Happy Town, the value of kidneys has soared and can rise. When I get a pair of 400,000 thriller coins, I will redeem my kidneys at the highest price in the market. What do you think? Hear this. Shen Jian was silent. He looked at the priest ghost with a strange look. Pastor ghost? Meeting Shen Jian's gaze, he felt a little nervous inside. What's wrong? His price is really the highest. Otherwise, if it were his normal transaction, the price would be lowered to 300,000 thriller coins. Giving 400,000 thriller coins is basically the highest price in the kidney market. Unless it's the waist of a Ghost King level ghost, there will definitely be no buyer who bids higher than him. Very good, just as you said, 400,000 thriller coins will be used to redeem your waist. Shen Jian spoke. The scalpel was withdrawn. Priest ghost transfers 400,000 thriller coins to you. Looking at the transfer record on the panel, the smile on Shen Jian's face became even stronger. Looking at you, you must be very rich, said. Shen Jian couldn't help but look at the priest ghost in front of him. If he was not mistaken, the corpses of various ghosts used in the ritual of resurrecting ghosts and gods by the cult should have been traded by priests and ghosts. In other words, the fierce ghost in front of him controls the funds for the activities of the cult group. Think of this. Shen Jian's eyes lit up. Money is something you don't bring with you when you are alive, and you don't take it with you when you die. Think about it, you have been busy all your life, and in the end you can only get a square coffin. The so-called money is all useless. Isn't this a kind of torture every time I think about myself dying and still having a bunch of money that I haven't spent yet? Do you want to suffer like this? Pastor Ghost. He was slightly startled. Watching Shen Jian put away the scalpel, he then took out a white bone rod. He said in a hesitant tone. "Are you trying to say that if I don't give you money, you're going to torture me?" Said. Pastor Gui was absolutely furious. "I am a ghost, not a human being. You will die. And I only need to change my body to live again. There is no time when there is no money to spend. Just say that you think I am rich and want to blackmail me." Shen Jian thought for a while. Showing his cards, he said, "If you think so, there's nothing I can do about it." Pastor Ghost. "Okay, he is unlucky today. Just think of spending money to eliminate disasters. Priest Ghost will transfer 1 million thriller coins to you. See this." Shen Jian took out another black bag from his body. In addition to the 3 pairs given to the smiling ghost, there are at least 21 pairs of kidneys inside. 21 pairs of kidneys. According to the market price of 400,000 thriller coins per pair, that is 8.4 million. I make the decision and erase the fraction. You only need to give me 10 million thriller coins. Pastor Ghost. Hear this. He was confused. What the hell? 8.4 million is a fraction, you want me to give you 10 million? You've gone too far. It was just a hint. Now it's clear that he's going to blackmail you, right? The priest ghost looked at Shen Jian with an angry look. If these 10 million were given away, he would have no place to stand back in the organization. After all, he only has more than 10 million. This money is the hard-earned money saved by the organization over the years. The organization trusted him, so it handed over these funds to him for full processing. How could he betray this trust? Shen Jian glanced at him and said casually, "When I was young, I always had a bad temper. In a good transaction, the 2 parties had clearly agreed on the price, but the other party directly went back on their word, making me go all the way in vain. Guess what happened in the end?" Said. Shen Jian patted Pastor Ghost on the shoulder. "What's wrong?" The priest ghost felt a little thirsty, and was suddenly slapped by Shen Jian, which made his hair stand on end. Later, someone discovered that he had 5 limbs broken and was thrown to the side of the road. It is said that he was taught a lesson by a mysterious guest because he stepped out with his right foot first while walking on the side of the road. Shen Jian sighed with fake regret. Priest ghost. He struggled internally. At last. Slowly lowered his unyielding head. Priest ghost transfers 10 million thriller coins to you. The moment the money is transferred, the priest lay on the ground helpless. Tears of humiliation fell from his eyes. For those who didn't know, they thought that some decent woman was being teased and taken advantage of. But in the eyes of the priest ghost, the nature is similar. He was kidnapped by a group of evil forces. Giving away these 10 million is equivalent to emptying out the coffin of the organization. To know. These are the hard-earned and dirty money accumulated by the organization through deception and robbery. Now it's bankrupt. When he goes back, he will die. The scar ghost on the side saw this. Swallowing saliva. Fortunately he has no money. Otherwise, I'm afraid the end would be no better than that of a pastor. Even. He felt a bit of sympathy for his fellow sufferers. Last night, he seemed to be insulted by this human being in the same way. He cut off his brother's waist with his own hands and was forced to shoot a ghost movie for an hour. He felt the same as the priest ghost now. The other side. Shen Jian doesn't care about that much. He opened the game panel. Thriller coin, 21410000. More than 20 million thriller coins. This number has exceeded the annual net profit of the Bloody Paper Shop. If the original supernatural amusement park had so much money, why would it be on the verge of bankruptcy? If used to purchase a 3-star flesh-seeing ghost, more than 20 million horror coins can already be used to create at least 5 more Ghost Kings. What is this concept? It is equivalent to artificially creating a 4-star supernatural place with excessive intensity in a horror world. The arrival of 5 Ghost Kings can destroy at least 3 cities in a short time in the real world. Allow 1/3 of the country's cities to evacuate. Suppress the excitement. Shen Jian's eyes fell on the priest ghost, who collapsed helplessly. He comforted me kindly, "Don't think so much. Although you are bankrupt, you have gained me as your friend." Pastor Ghost. Haha, I really want to thank you for being my friend. Okay, I'll go back with you and explain. Hear this. The priest ghost suddenly raised his head. Is this true? It really can't be true anymore. You are my friend. How can I bear to see you go back alone and be bullied? Shen Jian said with a smile. The priest grimaced. Very good. He still has a chance at redemption. As long as Shen Jian is brought back to the organization's base, the money can still be recovered. Not to mention he is a kidney cutter. Even if he is the kidney cutter's father, he has to kneel down obediently. He. This human being swelled. Relying on his own strength, he thought that all ghosts could be bullied by him. Think of this. The priest ghost had a sinister smile in his heart. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 363. Following the priest ghost, the group of 3 people quickly walked out of the old city and entered the hardest hit area. As soon as I stepped here, a supernatural wave came quietly. Shen Jian ignored it. However, something abnormal has appeared on Scar Ghost. A goo worm penetrated into his body and swam on the skin of his forehead. Next moment, Scar Ghost felt that the resentment in his heart was bursting. His eyes suddenly turned scarlet. He looked at Shen Jian, who was walking in front, and his heart was ignited by an unknown fire. Damn it! Damn humans! This human made him cut his brother's waist with his own hands and threatened him with the video. He, Scar Ghost, has done his own thing throughout his life. Why should he listen to others? Think of this. Scar Ghost showed a sinister smile at first, and then his expression changed drastically. Damn it! Why would he have such rebellious thoughts? That's a kidney cutter. A ruthless person who wouldn't even bother giving anesthesia. He actually had the idea of taking action against this murderer. This is absolutely impossible. Scar Ghost reacted immediately. I felt like there was a bug swimming in my skin. The goo insects are releasing supernatural fluctuations. It's affecting his thinking. Sir, I seem to be a little unable to control myself. Scar Ghost wants to cry but has no tears. He had long heard that the hardest hit area was the source of the plague, and that once deep inside, even the Ghost King might be infected. However, he never expected that he would be quietly infected less than 10 minutes after entering. Shen Jian glanced at him. Think about it. He took out the morning stick. Do you need my help? Scar Ghost. Seeing Shen Jian's posture, he couldn't hold back any longer. His eyes flicked to the ground. Picking up a random brick, he knocked him unconscious and fell into a short sleep. As long as he faints quickly enough, the curse won't affect him. Pastor Ghost. He twitched the corner of his mouth when he saw a top-notch red-clothed ghost knocking him unconscious in order not to confront Shen Jian. Is this so serious? No matter how good this human being is, he is still at the level of a Ghost King. Even if you can't fight, you can finally escape by running away. Anyway, he is still here. If Shen Jian dares to pursue him, the 2 of them will dare to split into 2 groups. One of them will be able to escape. However, the choice of this species in front of me was to put itself into a short sleep. To be honest, he couldn't understand. The other side. Shen Jian was also very skillful in stuffing Scar Ghost's body into a sack. Then he stood up and asked, "What is the name of your organization?" Ghosts and Gods Association. Which ghost do you believe in? The supreme mantra ghost and God. Hear this. Shen Jian paused. There was a little surprise in his eyes. Mondo ghosts and gods. Yes, the supreme ghost god Manchuo is the first ghost god to break free from the deep ghost realm. Everyone knows about his divine power. As members of the Hometown Association, we always bear in mind the divine power. Pastor Ghost said piously. Not long ago, we received a supernatural message from the ghosts and gods, asking us to collect his remains and revive him supernaturally. Once successful, the supreme ghosts and gods of Mondo will come to the horror world. Hear this. Shen Jian was thoughtful. Received a supernatural message? If he remembered correctly, the time he came to Qingxi was the first time that the Manchuo ghost and god revived. It's only about 2 months from now. Unexpectedly, the other party also left behind. Mobilize his relatives and followers to collect his dismembered parts. How many puzzle pieces have you collected? $3. The priest ghost answered truthfully. Perhaps in his opinion, Shen Jian was already a lamb waiting to be slaughtered, and it didn't matter whether he revealed the secret or not. Among them are the left arm of ghosts and gods, the left leg of ghosts and gods, and the right leg of ghosts and gods. There are 2 more pieces that were abandoned in Nanli Ghost Town. The most important head was caught first and has disappeared. Therefore, we unanimously decided to let the consciousness of the ghost and god come in advance, so that we can have a chance to recover the remaining 3 pieces of the puzzle. Shen Jian listened. The strange color in his eyes became darker and darker. This family of ghosts and gods is truly worthy of being the spokesperson of ghosts and gods in the world of horror. In less than 2 months, 3 puzzle pieces have been found, and the location of the ghost's right arm and ghost's torso are found in Nanli Ghost City. Shen Jian thought about it. If these 3 pieces of the puzzle are added, the number of pieces of the Mondo Ghosts and Gods puzzle on his body will reach 5. Only the most important head is missing to complete the entire puzzle of Manduo Ghosts and Gods. Think of this. Shen Jian's face showed a hint of excitement. Since they were old acquaintances, there was no need for him to pretend. Just thinking about it. A man and a ghost have arrived at a cathedral. A gargoyle stands on the gate. Seeing Shen Jian approaching as a human, the gargoyle revived, stretched out its ghost hand, and stabbed Shen Jian in the heart. Shen Jian's face was expressionless. He took out a black steel rod and smashed it. Boom! The top red-clad gargoyle was smashed to death on the spot. The huge movement attracted many members of the cult group. After seeing that Shen Jian was a human being, they first showed a sinister smile on their faces, and then saw Shen Jian smashing the gargoyle to death with a stick. Ghosts. They were dumbfounded. Stunned in place. Somewhat overwhelmed. A top-notch red-clad fierce ghost was killed so easily. Some of them are not as strong as the gargoyles. Isn't it just a stick if you go up there? Brother, why don't you go first? No, no, it's better for you to go first. No, 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 you are older, elders have priority. Where, you are young, and now you are advocating caring for children. The ghosts showed humility to each other. Don't worry, we all have a share. Shen Jian was also unambiguous. 5 fingers flexed. A bright white arc has formed in the palm of his hand. Le fa take xiao. The words fell. A bright white light has shone in front of the ghosts. Boom! There was a loud bang, accompanied by screams that came to an abrupt end. Several fierce ghosts exploded directly on the spot. Around. It was eerily quiet. All the evil ghosts present had their eyes widened. The mouth is also open almost enough to fit a goose egg. All looked shocked. What special effect are you doing? It's too outrageous. Do you use this power to deal with some of our miscellaneous fish? The other side. The priest ghost also looked horrified. Scalp numbness. Damn it. Hundreds of meters away, with 5 fingers raised, a white arc burst out, killing 3 red-clad ghosts on the spot. Now he finally understood why Scar Ghost would rather knock himself out than run away. He looked around. At this time, Shen Jian's eyes were indifferent. He is no longer as approachable as before. Electricity flashed faintly in his pupils. Arcs are wrapped around the body. A small silver snake swam in the palm of the hand. In the mist-filled, particularly sleepy disaster-stricken area, he looked like a god. The whole person is like a god descending into the world. Wherever his eyes passed, there was judgment. Wherever his palms turn, there is destruction. The ghosts were frightened for a while. Shivering. Brother, you can use these special effects to hum ghosts and gods. Just don't use it to attack our weak and pitiful ghosts. However, at this time, Shen Jian had already turned his gaze. Stretch out your fingers. Another bolt of lightning flashed out. Thunder flashed and loud noises roared. No, he's looking over. The idea is tough, brothers, retreat quickly. Hurry and ask for the bishop. For a while, the rooftop became a mess. The previous terrifying momentum of the ghosts was swept away, and they all started to dodge like dogs. If anyone is unlucky enough to be hit by a white arc, or even just affected by it, its terrifying and destructive energy will completely shut them down. Ah, it hurts. Run quickly, he's looking this way. Hide to the cathedral. Oh shit, it hurts, my hand. You stupid human being, why the hell are you throwing thunder at my crotch, ah. Even the priest ghost who had a dull expression on the side had to run aside for fear of being affected by the crackling white electric light on Shen's body. He watched from a distance. Watching Shen Jian, a human being, single-handedly kill all the members of the cathedral organization and flee in all directions. For a while, the priest ghost's face showed despair. Actually, the Ghosts and Gods Association is very powerful. Except for the bishop, an abyss-level ghost, the other members can join forces to defeat an abyss-level ghost king in a short time. However, Shen Jian, a human, was so unreasonable in his attacks. A thunder and lightning struck hundreds of meters away. No matter who you put this on, everyone will be confused. And he suddenly thought that Shen Jian seemed to be brought here by him. In other words, the indirect murderer who destroyed this place was him. Think of this. He was even more desperate. At the same time, Shen Jian's attacks continued. When dealing with a large number of ghosts, he usually uses thunder to clear the field, which is more efficient. Boom! Another bolt of lightning burst out. The voices of the ghosts were even more frightening. One by one, they fled into the cathedral in a panic. Under normal circumstances, a cathedral is a place dedicated to the supreme ghosts and gods, and other believers are not allowed to enter at will. But now, who the hell cares so much? One by one they rushed in. This disturbed the bishop who had been serving devoutly. It's unbecoming to be in such a panic, roared the bishop. The robes of a church bishop glowed with red light. A terrifying supernatural explosion belonging to an abyss-level ghost. Fear versus fear, this temporarily alleviated the terror of the ghosts. Your Majesty Bishop, there is a human being outside, and he is very scary. Humanity. The bishop had a grim look on his face. A human being actually scared you. We are believers of ghosts and gods, subordinates of the supreme man to ghosts and gods. You are so embarrassed by the ghosts and gods. Said. The bishop stood up. A very cool turn. I want to see what kind of despicable human beings can scare you. The ghost of the bishop came out. Saw everything outside the cathedral. The charred earth. Broken buildings. Exploding cultists. As well as A human being wrapped in brilliant arcs of electricity. At a glance, he was simply a god walking on the scorched earth. At this time, the god looked over, grinning. GGG, they are all hiding here, I'm coming over. Bishop Ghost. Damn it. Who said this is human? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 364. Chapter 363 I am a coward. As a descendant of ghosts and gods, and as an abyss-level ghost king, Bishop Ghost has a disdainful attitude towards the opinions of his followers. A human being, just a human being, has the ability to make dozens of red-clad ghosts flee for their lives, crying for their fathers and mothers, or even looking for their mothers. If you say this, you will be laughed at. 3 seconds ago, his idea remained unchanged. But now it is 3 seconds before the horse is stepped on. He saw an incredible scene. Above the wasteland, lightning was raging and lightning flashed. A god cast a teasing look at him. This moment, the world seemed to be quiet. Bishop Ghost. He was stunned immediately. His whole body trembled with excitement. Even the sound is somewhat deformed. What the hell? With a trembling cry, the Bishop Ghost turned around without hesitation and locked the door of the cathedral. Turn your back. Block the door. He looked frightened. Damn it. Is this horse a human? Who said this is a human being? Can it be more precise? Wouldn't it be enough to just say this is a god with a human form? It's so scary. At this time, there was a knock on the door. Knock knock knock. It was obviously a normal knock on the door, but at this moment, all the ghosts in the cathedral felt as if their hearts were being knocked. The knocks on the door one after another seemed to be knocking on their hearts. All the ghosts present were breathing stagnantly. My scalp felt numb. Coming. That human is coming. Is anyone there? I just saw someone coming in. Can you open the door for me? A voice like the spring breeze came. Just by listening to the voice, it is easy to imagine a big boy with a smile and a gentle face. However, Bishop Ghost looked up. Most of the evil ghosts who escaped into the cathedral were not the same person. Some had a leg blown off, some had half of their ribs hollowed out, and some had half of their heads missing. And, everything was burnt black. And these are all the credit of that human being. Moment. No one responded. The figure outside added another sentence. I am a good person. Ghosts. God is such a good person. You are simply worse than a ghost. Still no one spoke. In the cathedral, all the ghosts held their breath and covered their mouths and noses, fearing that they would make any noise and attract the human's attention. At the same time, they suddenly froze. Because the current scene gave them an inexplicable sense of familiarity. Isn't this the method we use every time to scare people? We create panic artificially and make humans die of despair in fear. None of us have used this trick several times. As soon as these words came out, one word awakens the ghost in the dream. The ghosts reacted. This horse riding is really a tactic they use to scare people. But now, it has been turned against the guest. They become objects of fear. Bang bang bang. At this time, the knocking on the door turned into a banging on the door. Why don't you open the door? Is someone being kidnapped and coerced? Just blink and I'll go in and save you. Hear this. The ghost's breathing became even lower. As if afraid of being heard. The ghost bishop blocked the door and swallowed his saliva. There is something really wrong with this human being. They finally figured it out. This human was trying to scare them in their own scary way. But unfortunately, they really did this. The more Shenjian didn't come in, the heavier their inner torment became. The ghosts, who already had a few faintly severed arms and legs, began to feel trance-like. He looked like he was about to lose his mind. At this time, the sound outside sounded again. "Hey, why didn't I see you blink? Looks like you've all been kidnapped." Outside, Shenjian stood at the door and grinned. "I'll go in and save you now," said. Shenjian stretched out his 5 fingers. A white electric snake shot out. Boom! Accompanied by a loud noise. The bright electric arc rubbed the head of the bishop ghost, penetrated the cathedral door, and flew out from the other side. Run the cathedral back and forth. The door was shattered, stone chips were flying, and smoke was everywhere. Shenjian broke through the dust. Appear in front of a group of ghosts. He showed a kind smile. "Are you surprised, or are you excited?" Ghosts. They were petrified. The ghostly faces showed horror. He felt that all the blood in his body was frozen, and he retreated in panic. This scene is also very familiar. It's when they get tired of playing and want to kill someone. Think of this. The expressions of all the evil ghosts changed. The reason why they came to the cathedral was because there was a bishop here. But now take a look. The bishop is even less reliable. The majestic abyss-level ghost king was actually trembling like these red-clothed level ghosts. There is no hope anymore. Hey? Why am I here? Look at my problem. I'm sleepwalking everywhere again. You continue, don't pay attention to me. I'll go back and catch up on my sleep. Modan, I was just wondering why you ended up here right after you fell asleep. It turns out it was your kid who was sleepwalking and carried it here for me. Please be careful next time. I'm a deaf mute, why are you carrying me here? The ghosts laughed dryly. Keep retreating. Retreat towards the huge hole that Shenjian blasted through. Shenjian watched with interest. Eyes darting around. But no materials needed for the ritual of resurrecting ghosts and gods were found. I didn't see the supernatural place where the mother body was cultivated. Think about it. Shenjian returned his attention to Bishop Ghost. You believers don't seem to be very religious. Is this considered a form of blasphemy against ghosts and gods? Bishop Ghost. Hear this. He couldn't hold himself any longer. As a descendant of the Manchuo ghost and god, he actually allowed a human being to see such an ugly side. He really wants to rush forward now and let these believers understand what faith is. But looking at the big palm leaf fan hand on his shoulder, he retracted this idea. I can only watch all this helplessly. My whole body was tense. I didn't dare to take a breath. As an abyss-level ghost king, he has not experienced the feeling of dying for a long time. But the moment that human put his hand on him, alarm bells rang in his heart and his hair stood on end. A great terror came over him. Especially since he had just seen it so clearly. It was this human right hand that instantly emitted a white arc of lightning that destroyed everyone. If you are close, give it to him. He's 100% dead. Just then. That's enough, what are you doing? Are you abandoning the bishop? A ghost king who was relatively close to Shenjian seemed to be unable to stand it anymore. He loudly scolded all the ghosts for their cowardly behavior. We are believers in Manchuo ghosts and gods. As believers, we can strengthen our faith in our hearts. If we encounter a little difficulty and abandon the bishop, how can we live up to the faith in our hearts? Hear this. Bishop Gui felt a little moved in his heart. He knew that this ghost king was a senior believer in the hometown association. Really? Or senior believers are more reliable? At least at this juncture, the opponent can still think of his own safety. This kind of kindness is so rare. The other side. The other ghosts who were about to escape were stunned on the spot. He showed an expression of shame. Yes. The bishop is a dependent of Manchuo Ghost and God, and is the spokesperson of Manchuo Ghost and God in the world of horror. If you abandon him and ignore him, what is the difference between giving up your inner faith? As a believer, this behavior is so offensive. Think of this. All the ghosts felt ashamed. Who knows the next second? The Ghost King who spoke changed his tone. Let me go first. I am a senior believer. I also know how to communicate with ghosts and gods. As long as I am alive, the roots of the association are still there. Say it. This Ghost King took long strides and fled for his life from Shen Jian's location. The speed was so fast that no one could react. Bishop Ghost? Ghosts? Everyone was stunned for a moment. Then the pot exploded. Damn it, you are just running away, you are just pretending to be stupid. I am also a senior believer. I will go to Lord Ghost and God to sue you severely. You, that coward in front of you, stop now. I'm going to sue both of you at the same time in front of Lord Ghost. The three actors in front of you, what the hell are you? Bishop Ghost. Watch this scene. He was completely stunned. God is going to complain. If you want to run away, just say so. Fortunately, he was touched just now. These people are so damned. The bishop watched all this with eyes wide open. I feel like my fist is hardened. But suddenly, he looked at another Ghost King not far away. In addition to him, there are two Ghost Kings in the Ghosts and Gods Association. One of them had already run away without hesitation. The remaining one stood there without moving. It seemed that he saw the bishop's ghostly gaze. The other Ghost King straightened up his charred chest that had been penetrated, and said confidently, Master Bishop, don't worry, I am different from those fake believers who just look different. I am just a coward. Finished. He also ran away. Run without any burden. That's enough. I didn't even say anything. I'm just acting like crazy here. Shen Jian cursed. He raised his hand and fired another thunder spell. Explode the penetrating entrance once again. Countless rubble buildings fell. Block the exit. For a while, the scene suddenly became dead silent. No one dared to speak anymore. All of them lowered their heads, trembling with fear. See this. Shen Jian was very satisfied. He said directly, how far has your ghost and god resurrection ceremony progressed? Hear this. Bishop Gui was slightly startled. But under the increasing force on his shoulders, he succumbed. Explained, there is only a part of the power that can give birth to the mother's body. We are planning to cultivate an unsolvable level ghost, and then completely revive the three collected ghost and god puzzle pieces, so that this powerful ghost can control it. By then, the will body of the ghost and god will be being able to descend into this body and restore it to a terrifying level that is infinitely close to that of ghosts and gods. After that, you can try to enter the Nanli Ghost City, bring back the other two puzzle pieces to control, and finally find the head. The ghost and god can completely revive and come to the horror world in a complete posture. Speaking of which, the bishop's ghostly eyes were full of piety. It's obviously a powerful ghost, but he believes in another ghost, which seems weird and permeable. Can't you revive ghosts and gods? Shen Jian said to himself. Think about it. He threw away the Mondo ghost and god puzzle pieces he had collected. These include the torso, right arm, and a small section of severed fingers on the left arm. What now? Bishop Ghost. Looking at the puzzle of ghosts and gods in front of him, he was confused. The torso of the ghost, the right arm of the ghost, and even the missing finger from the left arm of the ghost were all placed in front of him at this moment. Damn it! If he hadn't known that Shen Jian was a human, he would have almost thought that the other person was also a descendant of Manchuo ghosts and gods, and was collecting ghost and god puzzles like him. And Aren't these two ghost and god puzzle pieces in Nanli Ghost Town? How did this human get it? One after another confusion emerged in the bishop's mind. He subconsciously took over the missing two pieces of the puzzle and said in a somewhat uncertain tone, with these two puzzle pieces, the ghosts and gods who collect all 5 pieces of the puzzle will definitely be able to revive to the level of ghosts and gods. What he means is, aren't you afraid of death? Hear this exciting news. Shen Jian almost couldn't hold back his laughter. But he was still restrained. He was afraid of scaring these ghosts. Well, then go ahead and resurrect the ghosts and gods. If you can't resurrect them, I'll take your dog's head and stuff it into the septic tank. Shen Jian said with a bright smile. Bishop Ghost? Damn it! You dare to threaten me? You have really resurrected the ghosts and gods. It will be your turn to experience what despair means later. He thought sadly in his heart. Grabbing 2 pieces of the ghost puzzle, I headed towards the basement of the cathedral. No matter what this human's plan is, it will be useless the moment the ghost and god are resurrected. And he will also become the most powerful descendant of ghosts and gods in the horror world. Looking at the busy back of Bishop Ghost, the excitement on Shen Jian's face could no longer be concealed. After entering the horror game for so long, he finally wanted to unlock the option of ghosts and gods. Even if it is a synthetic product, it is still a serious ghost and god. It is a material that can unlock the 17th level of hell. Once the 17th level of hell is unlocked, is it still far from fully unlocking the 18th level of hell? Are the 6 realms of reincarnation still far away? Think of this. Even Shen Jian couldn't help but feel a little shocked. He looked at the group of fierce ghosts with their heads lowered in the distance, and cursed, "Do you have any eyesight? Go and help. For the rest, relax your shoulders for me. Also, I haven't eaten lunch yet, so I'm a little hungry. Go get ready." Ghosts. Grass. You really think of this place as your home? Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 365. At the same time, the law enforcement officers of the 2 city lords' mansions hiding in the dark also began to take action. 3 major hospitals are in Ming Dynasty to deal with the plague in the hardest hit area of Xingfu Town. The law enforcement officers of the City Lord's Mansion in Nanjiang District and Donglan District are secretly responsible for killing all the members of the cult group and crushing the other party's hope of resurrecting the ghosts and gods. According to the intelligence, members of the Ghosts and Gods Association are hiding in the cathedral in the hardest hit area. In addition to the bishop, an abyss-level ghost, there are 2 senior believers under his command who have reached the level of Ghost King. Over there in Nanjiang District, you have no problem. A knight wearing war armor and holding a medieval-style stabbing sword turned around and said. The Blood Sea Ghost King nodded with bloody tears in his eyes. Said there was no problem. If Shen Jian were here, he would find that this is a familiar ghost. He is the captain of the 2nd Law Enforcement Team of the Nanjiang District City Lord's Mansion. It is also an armed force belonging to the City Lord's wife Pain Injian. He once cooperated with Shen Jian to kill the captain of the 1st Law Enforcement Team at a supernatural amusement park. Soon, members of the law enforcement teams from the 2 major City Lords' palaces have arrived at the cathedral. The Blood Sea Ghost King took a look. The corner of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. Did we go to the wrong place? As the person in charge of this operation of the Nanjiang City Lord's Mansion, he was already prepared for battle and knew the dangers of this trip. In his opinion, the cathedral located in the hardest hit area should be full of gloom and evil ghosts, and there may even be ambushes of all sizes along the way. It will take a fierce battle to finally reach the cathedral. But now, this cathedral. Look around. There was charred land everywhere. There were also wisps of green smoke, like traces of being struck by lightning. No matter how you look at it, it looks like it has just experienced a catastrophe. Not to mention being a fierce ghost, even the yin-chi reaction is extremely weak. The members of the law enforcement team looked at each other. Stepped into it? Not a single ghost was seen along the way. I did see a lot of giant pits. Soon, they had arrived at the main door of the cathedral. The door was blasted open with a huge hole, revealing everything inside. Inside the cathedral, a mess. A human man with black hair and black eyes was sitting on a bench, with his head raised and his arms and legs lightly beaten by a beautiful female believer. Aside, several male believers were holding food and standing aside like servants, serving the man in front of them. Press this side and rub that side. Where are the crabs? Why haven't they been peeled yet? The fan over there is too weak. Do they deserve a beating? Inside the empty cathedral, only the human man's voice was heard. The fierce ghost believers who were called out all dared to be angry but dared not speak out. This is the bishop, he is really extravagant. Indeed, even though he is wearing human skin and can still detect human aura, it is absolutely impossible for him to be a human being. Only an abyss-level ghost can disguise himself like this. What a cunning bishop! If he uses this identity to infiltrate into the human ranks, we may not be able to detect anything unusual. Indeed, this disguise is so good. The yang energy is blazing, like a bright Sunday. If he hadn't appeared here, I wouldn't have known that he was a fierce ghost. While talking, members of the law enforcement team are ready. The leading night ghost drew out the rapier in his hand, and the aura belonging to the abyss-level Ghost King also burst out. He is the Commander-in-Chief of the Winterland District Law Enforcement Brigade. He is also an abyss-level ghost and is not afraid of the cathedral bishop in front of him. At this moment, the Blood Sea Ghost King also woke up from his confusion. Stopped everyone. Wait, don't be impulsive. This is the Deputy City Lord of our Nanjiang City Lord's mansion, one of our own. As soon as these words came out, members of the law enforcement team, they were all stunned. Clam. The atmosphere at the scene stagnated for 2 seconds. Immediately, the whole team exploded. What? Did I hear correctly? This human being is the Deputy City Lord of Nanjiang City Lord's mansion. Damn it, everything we saw when we came in couldn't have been caused by this human being. Killing through the cathedral with his own strength, and asking the believers to help him bring tea and water, massage and fan him. Hiss, show so hard that my head falls off. It's the same. My eyes fell out too. Who the hell saw my eyes? Help me pick them up. At once, there was an uproar on the field. This huge movement naturally attracted Shen Jian's attention. He looked around. Then he showed a trace of disgust. The efficiency is too slow, I have to find the base camp myself. Blood Sea Ghost King. His facial muscles twitched. This efficiency has exceeded the standard, right? In just a few days, we followed the clues and found their base camp. It's you, old man, who is too fast. Thinking. He walked up to Shen Jian. He was sincerely convinced of Shen Jian. Shen Jian not only killed the captain of the first law enforcement team who was promoted to an abyss-level ghost, but also subdued the Ghost Kings from all directions. There were even rumors that the death of the former deputy city lord was also related to Shen Jian. Nowadays, Shen Jian is the deputy city lord of the Nanjiang City Lord's mansion. As the captain of the law enforcement team, he naturally has Shen Jian as the leader. See this. The captain of the law enforcement team of Winterland District also suppressed the shock on his face. He looked at Shen Jian with different eyes. Then he looked around again. Killing through the cathedral with his own strength is a level of strength that even an abyss-level ghost cannot achieve. But a human can do it easily. He also suppressed the Ligui believers present as slaves and maids, who dared to be angry but dared not speak out. This is too outrageous. When will humans have such strength? Think about it. The night ghost also walked over. Friendly greeting, sir, I am the captain of the law enforcement team of the Donglan District City Lord's Mansion. I am responsible for the entire eradication operation. Leave the rest of the cleanup work to us. Sweep the tail. Shen Jian's eyes were strange. The real owner hasn't come out yet, huh? He's here. Buzz. At this moment, a penetrating supernatural wave suddenly enveloped the entire place. A terrifying supernatural threat is coming. All the fierce ghosts present were trembling in their hearts. His face suddenly turned pale. What's wrong? This aura is more terrifying than the commander-in-chief. As soon as these words came out, the knight's expression changed. He suddenly remembered that there was still a ghost missing here. That is the Bishop of the Ghosts and Gods Association. The other party's purpose is to resurrect ghosts and gods. Think of this. The night ghost's hair stood on end. Without even bothering to ask why Shen Jian didn't stop this, he quickly arrived at the underground of the cathedral. In an attempt to prevent the resurrection ceremony of the bishop ghost, other members of the law enforcement team followed suit. Shen Jian's face was expressionless. No hindrance either. He followed him in the same leisurely manner. At this moment, the underground space of the cathedral, the bishop's ghostly eyes were gazing feverishly at the huge blood cocoon in front of him. Look from afar. It was like a placenta. A bloody placenta conceived in the mother's body. Every time the placenta vibrates, it makes a sound like a beating heart. The strong smell of blood assaulted his nostrils. When the night ghost arrived, the evil ghost bred in the blood cocoon has entered its final stage of formation. An extremely terrifying yin qi is rising higher and higher. It seems that there is a terrifying existence that spans endless time and space and finally revives here. No. The night ghost was shocked and angry. The ghost weapon stabbing sword in his hand stabbed him. Ghosts and gods must not be revived here. The ghosts and gods that can be dragged into the deep ghost realm are all evil ghosts and gods that have caused nightmare-like threats in the horror world. Once such ghosts and gods revive, not to mention everyone present, the entire Winterland area will suffer. The disaster of ghosts and gods will happen again in Winterland. Clang. The stabbing sword landed on the huge blood cocoon. Then, click. Cracks appeared on the sword. Then it was bounced away directly. The bloody placenta exudes a blazing red light. Unscathed. This moment, all members of the law enforcement team present turned pale. An abyss-level ghost wielding a ghost weapon launched an attack, but was unable to cause even a little damage to the bloody placenta. Can't even break through the defense. How the hell is this still playing? Click. At this time, the place where the stabbing sword was stabbed suddenly opened a gash. The night ghost showed ecstasy. Effective. As long as it is effective, they can interrupt the ghosts and gods before they are resurrected. But the next second, the smile on the night ghost's face froze. Where the big bloody cocoon split, a ferocious hand stretched out. It was blood red and covered with dense blood lines. The crack just now was damaged from the inside. Subsequently, a sharp, neither male nor female voice sounded. GGG, my Manchuo ghost has finally arrived again. Okay, great. Except for the head, the rest of the puzzle is complete. That's wonderful. Ha 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 ha. Wild laughter continued. The cracks in the big bloody cocoon are getting bigger and bigger. A body covered in blood completely walked out. The terrifying yin energy belonging to ghosts and gods swept across the entire place. Except for Night Ghost, the other members of the law enforcement team were unable to even move under this supernatural threat. The Night Ghost was also sweating profusely and was still in shock. His eyes were filled with despair. Spirits. A living ghost and god actually arrived. He had heard of the names of Manduo ghosts and gods. That is a completely evil god. Once he escapes from the deep ghost realm, his return will be announced to the entire horror world. And the Winterland area is the stage where he makes his announcement. In laughter, Mondo Ghost looked at the night ghost. Sharp laughter sounded. Did you just want to prevent me from returning? The words fell. An even more terrifying supernatural threat is coming. The night ghost was in a trance, as if he was in a sea of bloody flowers. The white mandrake flowers were dyed red with blood and kept growing, taking root in his body and sucking his blood. And in the outside world, the body of the night ghost also began to become shriveled up. The strong body was shrinking little by little, and even the armor on his body became loose. "Captain, wake up quickly!" The members of the law enforcement team nearby shouted, but to no avail. Next moment, a voice sounded from outside. "I finally waited until you were resurrected. Haven't seen you for a long time." Excited voices sounded. Manchuo Ghost's eyes narrowed. "Who the hell hasn't seen you for a long time? No human being dares to have a relationship with him." The other side. Looking at the man to ghosts and gods in front of him whose yin-chi quality exceeded 100,000, the smile on Shen Jian's face could no longer be concealed. He grinned and walked straight into the basement. He took out an ancient long sword from his body. 7 stars demonic sword. One of the magical weapons of Judge Wu Zhongkui. Possessing imaginary supernatural abilities. "Who are you?" Manchuo Ghosts and gods looked suspicious. Something is wrong. There's something very wrong with this human. Knowing that he was a ghost, he actually laughed out loud. He dared to walk towards him. From Shen Jian's eyes, he only saw excitement. "That's right, you were too weak at that time and couldn't even notice my presence." While talking, Shen Jian's eyes suddenly changed color. An overflowing ghostly aura surged over Shen Jian. His pupils turned into a ghost. The light flickered. Just taking one look at it makes you feel like you will be sucked into an endless hell. "Now, do you remember who I am?" Shen Jian's tone was faint. When passing by the night ghost, he slapped him in the face. Then he looked at Manchuo Ghost and God with his dark eyes. Eyes facing each other. That moment, Manchuo Ghost. His pupils widened. Immediately I thought of some bad memories. He remembered the scene when he first arrived and was frightened by the dark eyes above the boundless sky. And those eyes were exactly the same as those on this human being. Damn it! You're so haunted, aren't you? I've been killed by you once, and you're still here? Is there any grudge between us? Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 366. Looking at the pair of dark eyes in front of him, an unspeakable fear appeared in the hearts of Manchuo Ghosts and gods. He suddenly remembered the scene of his first supernatural resurrection and his arrival in the human world. That day. Night sky. Above the boundless sky. A pair of huge dark-colored pupils revived and opened the eyes of the gods. Just by glancing at him, his body died completely. There was no room for resistance. It was also that day that he learned that there was a strange ghost and god who had fully revived in the real world. The opponent's power level is far above his. Just a pair of dark eyes were more terrifying and unfathomable than when he was completely victorious. And today, this bastard is here again. When he had his second supernatural revival, he stood in front of him. He opened those dark eyes that frightened him again. Hum hum hum. Mondo Ghosts and gods gave birth to countless hums in their hearts. This kind of person really deserves to die. Chase after him. Wasn't it just that he said a few harsh words before he died? As for the lingering ghost? At this moment, Manchuo Ghosts and gods were filled with grief and anger, and they hated this human being in their hearts. Aside. Bishop Giya added a finishing blow. Master Gishin, this human being trampled on your home court wantonly and attacked your believers in the cathedral. His various actions have seriously tarnished your reputation. Manchuo Ghost and God. Sir, he is still openly allowing female believers to serve him in your cathedral and using your believers as servants and maids. This is absolutely unforgivable. The other side. Shen Jian looked at the Mondo ghosts and gods in front of him. All smiles on his face. If the yin energy reaches 100,000, it means ghosts and gods. But even among ghosts and gods, there is still a contrast in supernatural strength and weakness. The incomplete version of the Mondo ghosts and gods in front of us happen to be the weakest kind. The yin qi is just over 110,000. According to the horror world, this is called a nightmare-level ghost. Each one has posed a huge threat to the horror world. It is a nightmare in the eyes of countless local ghosts. No doubt. The current Mondo ghosts and gods are at a nightmare level of terror. Thinking. The 7-star demonic sword in Shen Jian's hand has been raised. The ghosts and gods of Mandala have been resurrected. His tool to unlock the 17th level of hell is already online, and there is no point in delaying it any longer. Shen Jian's mouth widened, revealing a rich smile. At the same time, there was a faint sound of electric current sizzling inside the body. Good brother, I will never forget your contribution. To express the joy of our reunion, I specially created 3 swords for you. You take them. Said. The current is getting stronger and stronger. There was a crackling sound inside Shen Jian's body. Then, along the palm of his hand, it was covered with the 7-star demonic sword. For a moment, the ancient long sword was immediately wrapped with thunder. It turned into a thunder sword. This first sword is called Thunder Sword. The words fell. Shen Jian's smile also became excited. A sword was swung out. A black yin qi sword light wrapped in bright thunder exploded away. Completely illuminate the underground space of the cathedral. Terrifying and desolate energy raged. Manchuo Ghost. Grass. What a joy to be reunited. You are a dog. Are you using this thing to welcome your friends back again? You are happy to ride on the horse. The same cannot be said for your friends. Laugh. There was no time to react, and the lightning burst out at a speed that exceeded Manchuo's ultimate reaction. With just a turn of the head, one of his arms had already been cut off. A terrifying electric arc lingered at the broken wound. Severe pain struck. Ah! The ghosts and gods of Manduo screamed miserably. In addition to fear, there was only anger in his eyes. He didn't hesitate. Turn around and run. A similar person who had fully recovered a few months ago was simply not something he could fight against now. He must first find his most important head. Same kind, if you use supernatural powers unscrupulously, you will be dragged into the deep ghost world by the horror game. At that time, countless ghosts and gods will follow the traces to come to you and cause trouble. You will not be able to survive in that deep world. Stop now, what I said before is still valid, and I will not hold you responsible for doing it. Shen Jian was unmoved. The 7-star demon sword in his hand was raised again. A black flame silently climbed up the sword. Set the air on fire. That's hellfire. The Wuguan King controls the blood pool hell, and the hands of ghosts and gods can turn the fire of hell into his own use. The second sword, the fire sword. Shen Jian said to himself. The 7-star demonic sword was swung out again. The deep black fire sword cut off the other half of Manchuo Ghost God's arm. When the black fire is ignited, all supernatural beings can be ignited. Cannot be extinguished. Will bear the burning of hellfire forever. This time, the screams of Mandu ghosts and gods became louder. His right arm was haunted by thunder, and his left arm was burned by black fire. It is a force that cannot be dispelled, cannot be alleviated, and cannot be touched. Watch this scene. Thump. The bishop ghost knelt down directly, watching all this with dull eyes. There are 100,000 whys in my heart. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! What's going on with this horse riding? The supreme ghost and god was actually being chased by a human being. There is no way to fight back. Not long after he was resurrected, both of his arms were cut off. The miserable look of a bereaved dog. Thump. The Blood Sea Ghost King also knelt down. Why are you kneeling? Isn't that someone with you? Bishop Ghost said doubtfully. The Blood Sea Ghost King said with disdain, haha, my legs are weak. The other side. Manchuo Ghost and God, who had both broken arms, screamed in horror, why? Why? We have no grievances. Why the hell do you want to kill me? You dismembered my body, are you going to destroy my hope of recovery again? I remember you, I still have a head, I will come back again and destroy everything for you. Remember my name well. One day, I will come back again. As if he knew that he had no possibility of escaping, the bloody face of the mandala ghost kept dripping with blood stains. White mandala flowers grew and turned into blood-red flowers under the erosion of the blood stains. Supernatural power began to spread. These mandrakes should be planted in Shen Jian's body to absorb blood, nutrients, yin energy, and even supernatural powers. Datura, the flower of the underworld. It is also the flower that brings unknown disasters. Shen Jian flashed his dark eyes. He raised the seven-star demon sword for the third time and said to himself, this sword is called the Thunder Fire Sword, and it will definitely hit your dog's head. The words fell. The black yin energy intertwined with thunder and fire instantly cut off the heads of the Manchuo ghosts and gods. The head rolled down. The eyes of Manduo ghosts and gods stared intently. Scarlet eyes were still looking at Shen Jian. He is a ghost. Even if his head and arms are cut off, he will not die as long as his supernatural power remains. It's just that I can't move for the time being. And this moment. A bright smile appeared on Shen Jian's face. A face full of excitement and emotion. Then. Shen Jian came over. Stepping on the heads of Mondo ghosts and gods. You don't have to wait until next time. If there are any conflicts, we can resolve them today. Shen Jian opened his mouth and was very talkative. You said that I ruined your hope of recovering again, and even if you have a head left in the future, you will come back to seek revenge from me. I don't have any objection to the last sentence, but the problem is that I haven't completely destroyed your hope of recovery. Is this feud too hasty? Manchuo Ghost? God is so sloppy. You go ba thing appeared twice where I revived, and dismembered my body twice when I was full of confidence. It is not an exaggeration to say that there is a life and death feud. You say you are careless when you step on a horse. What bad things did I do in my last life to meet a bastard like you? He breaks the defense directly. There was only resentment in his eyes. Human, what do you want? A Mondo ghost with a head that kept rolling spoke in a sinister voice. I was thinking like this, you have lost your use to me, and I am too lazy to look for the last puzzle piece of your head. Why don't I just destroy your last puzzle piece of recovery, so that you come to me for revenge, isn't it reasonable? Too much. Shen Jian suggested kindly. Manchuo Ghost? He was slightly startled. Think about this sentence carefully. Totally, destroyed. Halfway through reading, his face froze. Grass. If you want to kill me, can't you tell me directly? It's such a big bend. Manchuo Ghost's face darkened. His defense was completely broken and he laughed like crazy. You don't even know where my last piece of the puzzle is, and you want to ruin my next chance of recovery. Dream. I'm not going to tell you where my last piece of the puzzle is. He finished. He looked at Shen Jian provocatively. So what if he was killed twice? Next time, he will be more cautious. Hear this. Shen Jian also smiled. Why is it so troublesome? Said. Shen Jian raised the 7-star demon sword in his hand. Do you know what's the most powerful thing about this sword? As long as there is a target in front of me, the attacks I strike can span endless time and space and trace back to their origins. In other words, as long as you are here, my next sword will definitely hit your head and dismember it. Manchuo Ghost. He was confused. I have no idea whether what Shen Jian said is true or false. But that moment, he was instinctively afraid. No, do not want. The words have not yet fallen. Shen Jian had already cut it off with an indifferent expression. This sword will dismember your head. Click. The next second, cracks appeared on the two heads of Manchuo Ghost and God at the same time. One in front of Shen Jian. The other one is in the real world. At the same time, both heads were completely frozen. Shen Jian took back the 7-star demon sword. All smiles. The materials to unlock the 17th level of Hell are now available. Next moment, a scarlet panel emerged. Main mission, solving the trouble behind the Happy Town, completed. It is detected that the player is carrying a hidden mission. Returning will cause the hidden mission to be interrupted, and the player can choose to continue the mission. Continue. Shen Jian withdrew his gaze. Grabbing the corpse of Manchuo Ghost and God, he returned to the bloody cocoon. Shen Jian was thinking silently in his heart. Caught all the ghosts in the cathedral. Then arrest the patients in the hardest hit areas. At least it can hold up to more than 20 ghost kings. If you catch a few more, you can match the amount of a ghost. Besides, he also wanted to completely increase the favorability of the cold female dean. See if we can have a sister shake. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 367. The Other Side. The night ghost woke up from his trance, first gasping for air, and then covering his face, looking shocked. Who the hell slapped him in the face when he was attacked by a supernatural being? My hands are too short. The night ghost, who had not yet understood the situation, covered his red and swollen face, still thinking about how he escaped from the supernatural attack of a ghost. Then, he saw this scene. Beside him, the captain of the 2nd law enforcement team of the Nanjiang City Lord's mansion, a ghost that was infinitely close to the abyss level, was kneeling on the ground, looking at him with strange eyes. What are you kneeling for? The night ghost said hesitantly. The Blood Sea Ghost King was silent for a while, because my legs are weak. 10 minutes ago, when Shen Jian was chasing Manchuo Ghost and God. He may also make an excuse to cover up his fear of weak legs and feet by saying that he had a fall. 5 minutes ago, he heard the screams of Manduo ghosts and gods. He might say he fell and broke his foot. And now, he could confidently say, yes, I was so scared that my legs went weak. Night ghost? Damn it! You are too spineless. After all, he is the law enforcement captain of the Nanjiang City Lord's mansion. If you kneel down like this, how will you convince the public in the future? You who are kneeling here represent the dignity of Nanjiang City Lord's mansion. To be honest, he was a little disappointed. Then he looked at the members of the law enforcement team further behind. Among these members, there are those from Nanjiang District and some from Donglan District. At this time, they all knelt down. It's like worshipping the Supreme Being. There was nothing but horror in his eyes, but also admiration. What are you doing? You have to die standing up. Anyway, once the disaster of ghosts and gods spreads in Winterland, we will die sooner or later. Why not die heavier than Mount Tai? The night ghost shouted. He was obviously ready to sacrifice. That moment, he clearly felt that his waist had straightened, and his figure had become taller at this moment. He looked at the members he had brought out with a disappointed look on his face. "Well, Captain, we think it would be better for you to kneel down as well." "Yeah, it doesn't matter if you kneel down. We are all kneeling. It's too unconventional for you to stand like this." "Captain, please kneel down. There is gold under the man's knees. Now is the time to cash it in. Kneel down and leave a good impression in that man's eyes. Isn't this the golden road?" A group of law enforcement members began to persuade each other. "Shut up, I would rather die than surrender." The night ghost picked up his stabbing sword, glanced around, and saw the bishop ghost kneeling on the ground, with a look of despair on his face. Suspicion flashed through him. But he still asked, "Where is the Manchuo ghost? He just puts us here and doesn't restrict our movements." "Damn it, then why don't you send the news back quickly?" The night ghost didn't understand. A ghost is resurrected? That's a nightmare for the entire Winterland area. With the character of this evil god, it would be impossible to quell the resentment accumulated by him after being trapped for so many years without swallowing up most of the Winterland area. Hear this. The Blood Sea Ghost King's facial muscles twitched. He turned his head and made a SHH gesture. Night Ghost looked. In the passage leading to the depths, a heavy footstep sounded. Then, out of the darkness, a human with black hair and black eyes came out, with a blood-stained hemp rope floating on his wrist. It was Shen Jian. But that's not the point. The point is, there were several pieces of body parts tied to the blood-stained hemp rope. There was a left arm, a right arm, a head, and a headless and armless body. Waiting to see what the head looks like. His expression suddenly became wonderful. His whole body was shaking. Her voice trembled to the point of deformation. "My mother-in-law." Thump. Night Ghost's legs and feet immediately went limp. He also knelt down. Damn it! What did he see? The Manchuo ghosts and gods were dismembered and cut into pieces. I can believe this horse riding. He had felt very clearly before that it was indeed a ghost whose terror level reached the level of nightmare. Now. But it became a human trophy. Even the body was dismembered into several pieces. The impact of the scene was too great. It simply shattered his outlook on life. Human, I didn't expect. Seeing how easily Shen Jian came out with the ghosts and gods he believed in, Bishop Gui's heart was filled with despair. Just as he was preparing to deliver his final remarks. Boom! A big dick slapped him on the back of the head. Bishop Ghost? He turned his head in confusion. Just in time to see the night ghost who straightened his waist, he didn't know when he had come to him, slapped him on the back of the head, and at the same time shouted angrily, "Shut up, you, an evil believer, how dare you use human words like this, it's a derogatory name to call your excellency. You should be called, my majesty the most high." Bishop Ghost? Blood Sea Ghost King? Members of the law enforcement team? Damn it! Did you change your face so quickly? No wonder you can be the law enforcement captain of the main palace of Winterfell City. With such flattering skills, it would be a pity for you not to be the captain. The Blood Sea Ghost King couldn't hold himself any longer. It turns out that the reason why he is still the captain of the second law enforcement team is because he has not learned this. Learned. Shen Jian also looked at the night ghost in front of him with strange eyes. You are pretty good, very good. The night ghost stood aside calmly. Holding a stabbing sword and wearing armor, he stood guard in front of Shen Jian like the most loyal ancient warrior. Grass. It's still you who is a bitch. The bishop ghost secretly spat. But after looking at the night ghost standing next to him, who would attack again if he had any disagreement, he still considered his words, "My supreme lord, you are indeed stronger than my lord, but you will not be proud for long. Your various behaviors will soon be noticed by the horror game, and when the time comes, you will be thrown into the deep world, fall into the endless abyss, and be eaten by ghosts and gods. The night ghost was about to speak. Shen Jian stopped the other party and asked with a little excitement on his face, "Do you know how to enter the deep world? If you tell me, I might let you go." Combined with the words of Manchuo ghosts and gods, he can easily determine that this deep world is located in the so-called deep ghost realm, and it is the world where the ghosts and gods who are imprisoned here live. This situation is similar to Nanli Ghost Town. It's just a place where evil spirits are imprisoned. One is a world where ghosts and gods are banished. Think of this. Shen Jian was slightly excited. If I could enter this world, wouldn't it mean that the ghosts and gods would be weak in their grasp? Can the 18 levels of hell be unlocked as quickly as possible? Bishop Ghost? Look at the excitement on Shen Jian's face. The ferocious smile he had just brewed could not help but solidify. Because this human doesn't look scared. It can even be said that the performance was very sincere. He had an intuition that if he could really tell the way to enter the deep world, this human would really let him go. He was confused. There's something wrong with this, isn't it? That is the second world where ghosts and gods are entrenched. Even nightmare-level ghosts like Manchuo Ghost and God would not hesitate to dismember themselves in order to break free from the shackles of the deep world, and escape from that place at the cost of never being able to recover supernaturally. One can imagine how scary the deep world is. Now this human being actually wants to go in? Bishop Ghost looked as confused as an old man on the subway. But under Shen Jian's attentive gaze, he still shook his head. He just kept saying, "Thriller game will definitely detect your violation today and send you in. You will regret it when the time comes. And my lord still has a chance to recover spiritually. Human, your ending will definitely not be good." Snapped. Shen Jian looked disgusted. A slap fell on the bishop's head. Some people were dissatisfied and cursed. "It's a waste of my time. Remember to address me respectfully next time, do you understand?" Finished. Shen Jian kicked him again. "Just choose to leave. Return to the cathedral." Shen Jian looked at the believers huddled together. Just about to speak. The night ghost has already licked the head wildly. "Sir, leave these cultists to me, there is no need to dirty your hands." The Blood Sea Ghost King saw this. This won't work. This is their deputy city lord of Nanjiang district. He, the captain of the second law enforcement team, has also fought side by side with Shen Jian. How can an outsider get involved in this relationship? Then he also asked for orders. "Sir, that's all, leave it to me. My family will do their own business." Shen Jian glanced at the two of them. "Throw out a few soul-binding bags. You decide for yourself, stuff them all in for me." "Say it." Shen Jian left here. Until he watched Shen Jian disappear. The Blood Sea Ghost King glared angrily, "Damn it, you changed your attitude too quickly. Who just said that if you don't kneel down, you will die standing up?" The Night Ghost said disdainfully, "I never said that." Blood Sea Ghost King. Grass. It's really shameless for you to ride on a horse. Out of the hardest hit area. It was getting late at this time. Shen Jian looked at the chat interface. It was discovered that all 9 players had left the game. The player with the ID Wolong sent him the last message. "Wolong, boss, I am the person in charge of Tongluo City. Chen Ji, if you have a chance, come to me. I have some ways to increase yin qi, which may also be useful to you, boss." Looking at this message, Shen Jian narrowed his eyes. He could see from the beginning that this player had a yin qi level far beyond that of a normal 4-star player, and his terror level was approaching that of the top red shirt players. There must be some special methods involved. But he was a little surprised that this method could be shared. He pondered for a few seconds. Shen Jian withdrew his gaze. At this time, he was the only one left in the happy town. To this, Shen Jian ignored it. He was staring at the scarlet panel in front of him, thinking about another thing. According to Manchuo Ghost and Bishop Ghost, he should have triggered the warning function left by the horror game long ago and been transported into the deep world. However, in fact, let alone the deep world, he didn't even receive a warning. There are several possible reasons for this. First, although he is strong, his yin qi level is only as high as that of an unsolvable ghost. Far from enough to trigger the alarm for a thriller game. Second, reaching ghosts and gods does not mean you will be sent to the deep world. After all, in the copy of Nanli Ghost City, he already knew that there are 4 ghost cities in the horror game. Each ghost city will give birth to a ghost and god. If the ghost and god reach the level, he will be sent to the deep world. Then the birth of the king, the hidden mission of becoming the Lord of the South, it can't be done. He guessed that it was the evil god who was sent in. Thinking. Shen Jian has arrived at the villa where the female Dean Len Yan lives. As soon as I walked in the door, I smelled the scent of the flesh-watching ghost's medicinal wine again. And the tangy fragrance of orchid. Shen Jian was shocked. Could it be that he, a good teacher, is getting his best friend drunk again? Think of this. Shen Jian walked in. The cold and charming female Dean, the lady in plain clothes, a flower of the high mountains, an elegant lady, very obviously drunk. The pink and snow-white neck is bright red, looking white and rosy, especially attractive. See Shen Jian. Both women were very happy. Take Shen Jian and drink together. Shen Jian's eyes were strange. He held a lady in plain clothes in his left hand, and a cold and charming female Dean in his right hand, and drank glass after glass of yin qi at 800 medicinal wine. The more you drink, the more energetic you become. And at this time, Ms. Suyi didn't notice at all that her best friend was also leaning on her man's shoulder. Even if he finds out, I'm afraid he won't care. After all, this is my best friend. At this time, she was drunk, so she wanted to lean on her man's shoulder to sober up. This was not a big deal. Husband, I heard from Sister Jing that you are also a famous doctor, a master of paper tying, and a famous doctor. Both of these professions require time to achieve success. Husband, you are a human being, and you only need more than 20 to make a full calculation. The drunk Ms. Suyi lost her previous elegance and giggled like a little girl. She lay on Shen Jian's shoulder with admiration on her face, raised her head and whispered softly. By the way, Sister Jing also said that I am an old cow eating young grass, and that you are just a little man. Little man, you are not little at all. Shen Jian? He was a little emotional. This lady in plain clothes is really good and fun-loving. Even though he knew that he looked like this when he was drunk, he still drank until he was drunk. Of course, it may also have something to do with the cold female Dean. Looking at Ms. Suyi, who was leaning on his left shoulder, looking up at him with her head raised, her eyes flashing with admiration, Shen Jian felt a little different in his heart. This feeling? Really not bad. He looked at Ms. Suyi's pursed red lips, full of fatal doubts. One couldn't hold it back. Kissed him directly. Well. Ms. Suyi immediately sobered up a lot. Eyes widened. He looked at his best friend a little shyly. When she found that Sister Jing was already leaning on her man's shoulder, looking like she was about to fall asleep, she was relieved and responded enthusiastically. Last night, she was drunk. With the help of the magical power of medicinal wine, I spent a lot of time making wonderful memories. And this memory is coinciding with the present. Wherever Shen Jian is around, there will be no shortage of such wonderful memories. A long time. The blushing lady in plain clothes had a bit of intoxication in her eyes. He buried his head in Shen Jian's arms. Enjoy this beauty. And at this time, the cold female dean also raised her head. Also drunk. This time I was really drunk. But her drinking capacity is much better than Mrs. Suyi's. So there is still a clearer consciousness. Naturally, she also saw the scene of the two kissing passionately. Didn't dare to look up at all. It wasn't until Mrs. Suyi was lying on Shen Jian that she raised her head and looked at Shen Jian. The crimson face was full of embarrassment. See this. The strange color in Shen Jian's eyes deepened. Under the horrified gaze of the cold female dean, the old trick repeated itself. Kissed her too. For a while. The cold and charming female dean felt extremely guilty. I just feel my heart beating very fast. An indescribable feeling came over her. She looked at her best friend who was lusting after Shen Jian's chest, and a bit of shame flashed in her eyes, but in her actions, she was also responding to Shen Jian. This conflicting mood was driving her crazy. Until Mrs. Suyi got up. The two are separated. Little man, you have a room by yourself, and Sister Jing and I have a room. Said. She took the hand of the cold female dean and helped them towards the master bedroom. See this. Shen Jian was shocked. Looking at the master bedroom with half of the crack in the door exposed by the cold and charming female dean. Just one thought in my mind. It's done tonight. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 368. The next day. Crunch. The door to the master bedroom was pushed open. The cold female dean took the lead to walk out of the bedroom, and she met Shen Jian's eyes, and both saw something strange in the other's eyes. The two seemed to have a tacit understanding. Just look at each other and look away. The cold female dean was even more shy, her eyes shy. After thinking about it in his mind, he pursed his lips nervously. Shen Jian's eyes moved. The cold and charming female dean Gu Zheng. Current status, shame, fear, nervousness, desire. Favorability, 101, infatuated. Husband, why did you get up so early today? At this time, Mrs. Suyi also walked out. The moment he saw Shen Jian, he immediately blushed with embarrassment. At the same time, he secretly glanced at his best friend and evaded his eyes. She pulled Shen Jian aside. She whispered coquettishly, "Husband, you were too bold last night. Sister Jing was still sleeping next to me. What should I do if I wake her up?" Shen Jian. It's a bit difficult to wake up someone who is pretending to be asleep. Think about it. A wicked smile appeared on Shen Jian's face. He stepped forward and hugged Mrs. Suyi and said, "Madam, why don't you ask the teacher if she has any impression of what happened last night? I'm going to die, you." Mrs. Suyi rolled her eyes at Shen Jian, then secretly glanced at the cold female dean, and lowered her voice and said, "I've tested it out. Sister Jing slept very deeply last night and didn't hear any movement at all. Isn't that okay?" "That won't work. If I'm really discovered, how can I face Sister Jing?" After slapping Shen Jian's hand away, Mrs. Suyi went to prepare breakfast. Shen Jian's eyes moved. Mrs. Jin Lan. Current status, shame, nervousness, sweetness, aftertaste, shyness. Favorability, 98, intimacy. 2 o'clock to go. The trouble behind the happy town has been solved by him. Whether it is the resurrected man to ghosts or gods, or the believers of the Ghosts and Gods Association, they have all been stuffed into sacks. Next, we only need to cure all the patients in the hardest hit areas step by step, and the hidden tasks can be settled. Shen Jian did the math. There are about 7 or 8 days left. There is still plenty of time. Getting full favorability is not a problem. Time flies. The plague problem in Happy Town has been solved. Not surprisingly, Huangquan Hospital won the first place. Regarding this answer, the doctors at Crow Hospital and Necromancer Hospital were all convinced. He looked at the only human being in the field with envy. This situation is almost impossible to replicate. Among the team of all ghosts, there was a human standing clearly, still in the C position. Can be seen. To the left of this human being, a lady dressed in white plain clothes and a plain gauze face stood aside. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that the relationship between the two is somewhat ambiguous. This breaks the heart of countless doctors who have had reverie about Mrs. Suyi. On the right side, the female director of Huangquan Hospital, who was cold, arrogant, and unapproachable, was also standing beside him. Although he didn't show any intimate behavior. But from time to time, we can see that the famous female director, a famous doctor of a generation, whose eyes are always fixed on this human being, is known for her arrogance. At the same time, this human being is also a famous doctor himself. How could he get all the good things in this world? Soon, the medical skills seminar comes to an end. A scarlet panel emerged. This round of game has ended. Congratulations to the player for clearing the Happy Town copy. The copy is being settled. Rating, S. Experience gained, 500%. Note, you have been promoted to level 46. Items obtained, Thriller Coin * 5000. Received a special reward, the position of Vice President of Huangquan Hospital. Note, the player emerged at the medical seminar and was respected by all the hospital doctors. He became the youngest famous doctor in the horror world. Your reputation was greatly improved. The director of Huangquan Hospital strongly recommended you to become the deputy director. Get special rewards, the victor of the attack. Note, the player took first place in the lineup confrontation mission and has unlocked the hidden achievement, victory of the attack. Current progress, 2/3. Get special reward, Mandala Flower. Note, the player King Yama has completed the first kill of ghosts and gods for the first time. The magical source of Mandala ghosts and gods has been distributed, and players can control it by themselves. Real world. Shen Jian opened his eyes. There was obvious disgust in his eyes. He looked at the last special reward and spat. The corpse of the Mondo ghost was in his hands. This scary game actually used something he already got as a special reward. How shameless. Finished with emotion. Shen Jian looked at the second special reward. Attack the victors. This is the second time he has unlocked this hidden achievement. The first time was at the Nanjiang City Lord's Mansion. Shen Jian looked over. After clearing 3 lineup confrontation missions and being rated as the sole winner 3 times, you can become a dependent of attack ghosts and gods. Apparently, this was another ghost he had never heard of. And it is only established for players. Shen Jian was thoughtful. If you want to complete this hidden achievement, just look at the opportunity. If you are lucky, the next dungeon may be another camp confrontation mission. If you are unlucky, you may not encounter it even after clearing the level a dozen times. Suppress these thoughts. Shen Jian returned to Yinsi. Hades. The 17th level of Hell, unlocked. The 18th level of Hell, can be unlocked. Unlocking conditions, 10 ghosts and gods. Look at the system prompts. While Shen Jian was secretly excited, he also exhaled a breath of turbidity. His fingers tapped on the table unconsciously. Just as he expected. The conditions for unlocking the 18th level of Hell are 10 ghosts and gods. He counted down what he knew. The glorious ghosts and gods, the ferrying ghosts and gods, the world-weary ghosts and gods, the attacking ghosts and gods, plus a phoenix-robed female ghost who is suspected of being a ghost and god. Almost half of the unlocking conditions have been met. It is too difficult to gather 10 ghosts and gods. Unless he can enter the deep world, it will be difficult to unlock the 18 levels of Hell in a short time. Shenjian looked solemn. Unlocking the complete 18 levels of hell is related to the subsequent reappearance of the 6 reincarnations, and he cannot delay it. After all, an underworld without the 6 paths of reincarnation and reincarnation is not called the underworld at all, it can only be regarded as a larger supernatural place. With the 6 paths of reincarnation, everything is complete. Think of this. Shenjian was suddenly stunned. I took another look at the unlocking conditions. There is no mark on it that ghosts and gods are required. He might be able to use a large number of red-clothed level or even Ghost King level ghosts to replenish his power, just like unlocking the 16th level of hell. Only, in this case, the number of fierce ghosts required would be too huge. A conservative estimate would require more than 10,000 red-clad ghosts. Shenjian had a headache. The red-clothed powerful ghost wants to be captured, and the Ghost King wants to be captured, but the clues of the ghosts and gods cannot be let go. Otherwise, there are 10,000 red-clothed level ghosts, even if the underworld is working 24 hours a day and catching ghosts all over the world, they still won't be able to gather so many. After all, there are still too few red-coated level ghosts in the real world. It really posed a problem for me. Do I need to go to the horror game to catch him in one city next time? Shenjian stood up. Leave this stressful place. Real world. Qingxi. City Gods Hall. When Shenjian came here, the system prompt sounded. Mission, rebuild the underworld. The third phase of the mission, let the city god's palace control a city, completed. Reward, merit score. The sound of reward echoes. A simple booklet appeared in front of Shenjian. Immediately afterwards, another beep sounded. Mission, rebuild the underworld. The fourth phase of the task, open the second city god's hall, completed. Reward, city god road sign. 2 system prompts sounded in succession. A smile appeared on Shenjian's face. His guess was not wrong. If you want to complete other system side tasks except the 18 hells, you need to spread the influence of the underworld to the maximum. It is necessary to continuously open up the city god's hall. The more city god's halls there are, the larger the actual territory of the underworld is. The more cities the city god's palace actually controls, the greater the influence it has on behalf of the underworld. He has been busy for more than half a year. Finally, the land of Qingxi was completely controlled. At the same time, due to the opening of the Binhai city god's temple, he unlocked the second reward. Take a look now. This is indeed the right route. And as early as 10 days ago, he asked the son of the river god, the leader of the 10,000 ghost sect, and the old man with an ox-headed horse face and a withered yellow face to go to a nearby city to open a new city god temple. I think it won't be long before one after another city god's temple will be built. At that time, the underworld will truly enter a stage of rapid development. Think of this. A smile appeared on Shenjian's face. Start studying the 2 rewards of the system. The Chenghuang road signs are easy to explain. To put it bluntly, the ghosts who are not under the jurisdiction of the underworld are selected. After their normal death, their ghosts will be led by the city god's road signs and automatically go to the city with the city god's hall. And entered it and became an underworld errand. This reward solves the problem of the current underworld being unable to radiate other cities. The merit book is as its name suggests. Solving the heinous people recorded in the merit book can make the city god's temple in the city receive merit protection. It goes without saying much about the role of the power of merit. Not only does it have a huge effect on the city god itself, but even the city god's temple itself will benefit, and its benefits will bless the yin chai of the city god's temple where it is located. The greater the merit, the deeper and stronger the foundation of the city god's hall will be. This sentence is not wrong. And the scope of the merit book is not limited to the territory under the jurisdiction of the underworld, but the whole world. Shen Jian opened the merit book. Names of people appeared in the book one after another. The recording method is no different from the recording of good and evil records. Violently, Shen Jian paused. His eyes focused on a person's name. That was a middle-aged uncle with a Chinese character face. Chen Ji, the person in charge of Tongluo City. Shen Jian muttered softly. The eyes are deep. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 369. Look at the familiar name above. Shen Jian fell into deep thought. The people recorded on the merit tree are all heinous persons. The sins of this type of people are serious and cannot be forgiven. If they are killed, they will gain the walking merit recognized by the merit tree. However, Shen Jian did not expect that the first heinous person he saw would be an acquaintance. He looked at the chat interface. At this time, messages are still being sent one after another. Wolong, Mr. Shen, I am Chen Ji, the person in charge of Tongluo City. I sincerely invite you to come to Tongluo City. The result will definitely not disappoint you. Wolong, I can tell you something, Mr. Shen. It only took me less than half a year to go from controlling a powerful ghost to becoming a 4-star player and becoming the top ghost controller in the country. Wolong, I know that the terrifying level of the ghost controlled by Mr. Shen is very high, but the higher the level of terror, the easier it is for the ghost to resurrect. The only solution is to increase one's own yin qi to suppress the ghost's resurrection. Wolong, and in my hands, I have the method to enhance yin qi. Look at the messages on the chat interface. He took another look at the names on the merit list. It seems that this player's so-called method is not very friendly to ordinary people. Shen Jian was thoughtful. He remembers. Tongluo City should be 3 cities away from Binhai City. It is a standard 3rd-tier city. At the same time, it is also one of the cities where the city god temple built by the sons of the river god, the bull-headed horse Mian, is located. Just thinking about it, the bull-headed horse-faced man has asked for an audience. Come in. Shen Jian spoke. Sitting on the throne of the city god, he looked at the bull-headed horse-faced man who walked in. Ma Mian walked in. I'm about to start flattering and building relationships. But the moment he looked up, he saw Shen Jian sitting indifferently, holding a gold-plated booklet with the word merits written on it. Although he didn't speak, he felt a sense of unwarranted majesty from it. Compared with the ghost town in Nanli, Shen Jian, who is sitting on the throne of the city god at the moment, has a calm and authoritative temperament, as vast as the abyss of the netherworld. Of course, this may also be related to the fact that Shen Jian was sitting in the city god's hall and receiving blessings from the city god's hall. Ma Mian lowered his head and shouted politely, Sir. When we were responsible for eradicating supernatural incidents, we encountered dozens of ghost murders in Tongluo City. However, the mastermind behind these incidents pointed directly at the city manager of Tongluo City. We don't know how to deal with it. Ma Mian quickly explained what happened. Hear this. A bit of surprise flashed in Shen Jian's eyes. Tell me more specifically. Yes, Ma Mian said respectfully, according to the intelligence we have collected in the past 10 days, Chen Ji, the person in charge of Tongluo City, has controlled a special ghost that can drain the lives of ordinary people and transform it into yin qi for people to use. Absorb. There are also heads of 3 other cities involved in this matter. Because this matter is of great concern, we have come to ask your opinion, sir. After listening, Shen Jian was stunned. It can squeeze the lives of ordinary people in exchange for yin energy. This is indeed a very special ghost. As special as a precognitive ghost. Owning this fierce ghost is equivalent to owning the golden road leading to the Ghost King, or even ghosts and gods. And the price is just the lives of some ordinary people in the cities under their jurisdiction. In an era when supernatural beings are resurrected and ghost incidents occur one after another, the disappearance of some ordinary people will not attract any attention at all. Shen Ji unclicked his tongue. He was also quite interested in this ghost. Certainly. What he was more interested in was how much merit he could get from catching these people. Catch them all and bring them back to me. Shen Jian spoke. An intriguing smile appeared on his face. Since the other party wants to see him, then meet. But instead of him going to Tongluo City, the other party was taken to the City Gods Hall. Causeway City. A 5-star hotel. In the private room, there were 3 people sitting on the mahogany chairs. 3 ghost masters. At this time, the door opened. Chen Ji, the person in charge of Tongluo City, walked in. Behind him was a middle-aged man in his 40s. He nodded and bowed, so he thought he was his younger brother. Let me introduce, this is Mr. Quan, the richest man in Tongluo City. Most of my goods are provided by Mr. Quan. Chen Ji introduced. I don't want to take it. When it comes to positions, all of you here are city leaders. They are the guarantee of the future of the city. It is I who need to rely on your protection. Mr. Quan nodded and bowed, keeping his posture very low. The other 3 ghost masters just nodded. Then he turned his attention to Chen Ji, the player you mentioned, is he willing to join us? Chen Ji shook his head and said, I haven't received a reply yet, but according to my judgment, he should have a hidden mission and is still in the game. It's normal that he doesn't want to reply. At this time, another ghost master said, I still can't accept that King Yama has the strength of a 5-star player, and can even suppress the Ghost King. Why? He, a player who has entered the horror game for less than a year, can do it in such a short period of time. It has grown to this extent in a short period of time. Maybe he has also controlled a special ghost like Mr. Chen, a female ghost master said. Don't belittle yourselves. As long as I'm here, within a year, you can also reach the level of top ghost masters. Even becoming a 5-star player, having the strength of a ghost king is not a problem. Chen Ji interrupted the others. An honest and handsome face is full of confidence. It is very different from the image of an honest person in the copy. However, we have to take care of one other thing now. When I entered the dungeon, I heard that someone in our city was going to start building the city god temple. What do you think? As soon as these words came out, the whole place suddenly fell silent. City god temple. These 3 words seemed to have special magic power. Even as the city leaders, they acted extremely uncalm. What else can you say about this? Let's just watch. Now that the underworld has revived, the city god has appeared, and the story of the night parade of 100 ghosts has spread, everyone knows that the fall of the fallen angel organization is related to the underworld. At this juncture, who dares to go touch the bad luck in the underworld? Me too, I don't want to pay attention to it at all, for fear of attracting the attention of the underworld. It's best to keep a low profile these days. I've heard that countless people claim to have seen ghosts patrolling the streets, and the frequency of supernatural events is indeed declining. The arrival of these ghosts will not harm us. Hear this. Chen Ji reminded with sinister eyes, don't forget, we still need ordinary people to improve our strength. Once the territory is taken over by the city god's temple and there are no supernatural incidents, how can we hide the missing people everywhere? Once things break out, what will happen to us? The words have not yet finished. Chen Ji suddenly paused. The hair all over his body exploded. Not only him, the other 3 ghost masters also had their hairs standing on end. Tap tap tap. Strange and heavy footsteps sounded in their ears. Getting closer. This was not the sound of footsteps outside the door. The soundproofing effect of the private room is very good. Even if someone shouts inside, no one outside can hear it. At this time, no one is moving around in the private room. But strange footsteps still appeared in the room. Supernatural event. Everyone's expressions changed drastically. Just about to stand up. Yajian's vision darkened, as if darkness had arrived. There was a deep blue light entering the room, and with it came an icy, eerie chill. It was a chill that penetrated deep into the bone marrow, making people tremble instantly. Chen Ji looked at a location. Two people came out there. A man with a horse face. A man with the head of an ox and a human body. Everyone. They were all stunned. The pupils shrank. Goosebumps suddenly appeared all over my body. Damn it! Bull-headed horse noodles. Everyone was confused. But at the first sight of each other, they were extremely sure that this was the legendary bull-headed horse face. This moment. It was as if their souls had been frightened away. The nerves were beating constantly, and the ghost puzzle in the body was constantly sending out fear to them, and they had the same idea. That was the legendary bull-headed and horse-faced face, and anyone who saw it couldn't help but tremble. Chen Ji also stood up in fear. According to legend, seeing a bull-headed and horse-faced creature is not a good thing. These two underworld gods are high-level undercover agents who are responsible for apprehending important criminals. Could it be that they have criminals that the underworld wants to arrest? Damn it! This is too unlucky. At this time, Ma Mian looked at the four ghost masters in front of him and said in a quiet voice, "Very good, all four of them are here to save you and me from having to make an extra trip." Then he moved. Ma Mian threw out the soul-locking chain in his hand. The chains swayed, and the clanging sound echoed strangely in their hearts. Chen Ji turned pale. "Come and arrest the four of them." His first reaction was, something happened. Then, turn around and run away. However, the next second, the soul-enchanting chain had penetrated his body. A pull. Chen Ji was horrified to find that it was not his body that had been penetrated, but his soul. He watched helplessly as his ghost was pulled out by the soul-catching chains, while his physical body fell to the ground. There was no sound. The same goes for the bull head. The soul-hooking chain was thrown out, and the two ghosts were hooked out of the body. And not only the ghosts, but also the ghost puzzle pieces in their bodies were also drawn out, and ferocious and miserable wailing sounds resounded. All of these. Just a flash of lightning. 4 city leaders and 4 ghost masters who controlled 3 powerful ghosts were seduced away without any resistance. The only one who was unharmed was the richest man in Tongluo City, who was already slumped on the ground. The soul-educating chain also penetrated his body. But he was not pulled out of the ghost, and there were no penetrating wounds on his body. It seemed like it was just a false alarm. Ma Mian looked at this ordinary person. The sentence was coldly pronounced, "You have committed many evil deeds and deserve to die. As for you, your accomplices are equally guilty. According to the instructions of the King of Hell, you are given 50 years to live and enjoy your last twilight years. You only have the last half a day," said. The soul-enchanting chains left his body. And take away his life. This moment. The whole place fell into dead silence. The 4 of them, including Chen Ji, who was put on the soul-enchanting chain, were also like mourning concubines. This was actually ordered by the underworld King of Hell himself. Who is the King of Hell? What virtues and abilities do they have to make a King of Hell care about them? This makes no sense. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the King of Hell of the 10th Palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 370. In the private room at this time, a shocking scene is taking place. The bull-headed horse-faced hook and pull of the soul-seducing chain caused the heads of the four major cities headed by Chen Ji to have identical ghosts appear behind their bodies, as well as the mutilated ghost figures, and they were also pulled out of the body. The fierce ghost's face was ferocious, and his body was penetrated by soul-enchanting chains. He was constantly struggling, and his screams continued to sound. Horse riding. Horse riding. These fierce ghosts with various mutilated features stared intently at the bull-headed and horse-faced faces, their faces extremely distorted. What the hell, you came to capture humans, don't wear us. What mistake did we make again? We are just a jigsaw puzzle controlled by humans, and we have no ability to move ourselves. Why do humans need to bear the pain of what they do? Holy shit. These ghosts who were seduced away by the soul-seducing chains couldn't hold back any longer. Looking surly. The other side. The only human being present, Mr. Quan, the richest man in Tongluo City, looked at the soul-enchanting chains that were constantly being pulled out of his body. In the dark, he felt that a special brilliance was being taken out. No, no. Mr. Quan raised his hand to grab the beam of light and the soul-enchanting chain. His instinct told him that the light that was drawn out was important and he couldn't lose it. Unfortunately, he couldn't catch it. I can only watch helplessly as the soul-enchanting chain is retracted. The next second, Mr. Quan watched helplessly as his stretched-out hand saw that its skin was wrinkled and thin, and it turned into an old man's hand in a few seconds. His expression changed greatly. Thinking of what Ma Mian just said, he touched his face. What I feel are wrinkles, like wrinkled bark. The energy and spirit began to decline. There is a feeling of twilight and powerlessness. Everyone was watching as the richest man in Tongluo City, who was only in his 30s, turned into an old man in his 80s or 90s in the blink of an eye. The other person's lifespan has really been taken away. There is only half a day left to live. Is the legendary underworld really so outrageous that a random underworld god can take away a person's lifespan? The faces of Chen Ji and the four others who were thrown into a ball by the seductive chains turned pale. But then he reacted. This is definitely not the ability possessed by the yin god with a bull-headed horse-faced figure. He is the king of hell in Ma Mian's mouth. Only the legendary lord of hell can give the yin god such abilities. At this time, Mr. Quan also reacted. He looked towards the horse's face and staggered away. His movements were slow, he was in a hurry, and his walking was extremely difficult. After all, according to normal age, he was already an 87-year-old man at this time. Being able to walk normally is already the maximum limit. Quickly, give me my life back, give it back to me. At this time, his face looked panicked. His eyes were full of pleading. He panicked and became even more afraid. Looking at his body with only half a day left, he was horrified. There are countless regrets growing in my heart. He is regretting that he failed to keep the bottom line, helped Chen Ji and helped him arrest innocent people everywhere. To this day, he has helped Chen Ji arrest more than 1,300 people and murder more than 1,300 people. He always remembered this number. Don't dare forget. But at this moment, everything is too late. He. The horse smiled sinisterly. Ignoring the humans, please. Turn around and leave. The wall in the private room disappeared, replaced by a road filled with grey mist, like a hell passage leading to the underworld. Crash. The chains shook, and the four ghosts of Chen Ji and Li Gui were struggling and were led away by the chains. There was no room for resistance. Mr. Quan wanted to catch up, but found that the wall had been restored. And the bull-headed horse face also disappeared. Just then. Crunch. There was a sound at the door. The huge movement in the room attracted the attention of the hotel manager. However, when they entered, they were all stunned. In the private room, four bodies were lying upside down. An old man with gray hair and a wrinkled face touched the wall and kept muttering, "Prince of Hell, please give me my life back, give me my life back. I was wrong, I was really wrong." This moment, an idea came to their mind. Locked room murder. And why does that old man look so much like the richest man in Tongluo City? At the same time, under the leadership of Ghost Domain, Chen Ji and the others soon appeared in Qingxi. Looking at the city, Chen Ji treated the dead horse as a doctor and said, "I know the person in charge of Qing City, I am his friend, he should have something to do with you guys in the underworld, I want to meet him first, this request is not difficult bar." Hear this. Ma Mian paused. Stopped. Chen Ji was overjoyed. Shen Jian actually has something to do with the underworld. And the relationship is very close. Otherwise, how could Ma Mian be so hesitant? Just as he was about to continue speaking, Ma Mian was already walking again and smiled sinisterly, "You will see him soon." Chen Ji? What's the meaning? Is Shen Jian still responsible for interrogating prisoners? In doubt. They have arrived at the city god's hall. Kneeling in front of the main hall of the city god. "I heard that you are my friend. Tell me, what do you want to see me for?" In the main hall of the city god, Shen Jian spoke indifferently. "Chen Ji?" He was confused. He looked at Shen Jian blankly. An extremely ridiculous idea suddenly appeared in my heart. You are the king of hell." As soon as these words came out, everyone's hearts were shocked. Everyone was dumbfounded. A player of a thriller game turned out to be the king of hell. Damn it! What is the difference between this and Kangxi's private visit incognito? Are you going to play a horror game? Too cruel. A generation of the king of hell, disguised his identity and entered the horror game. This is not a leisurely ride, it will never be like this. All of a sudden, everyone was shocked and speechless. After a brief moment of shock, Chen Ji immediately kowtowed and begged, "Sir, for the sake of my having worked with you once, please spare my life. I already know that I was wrong, and I can atone for my sins." Shen Jian looked at everything in the audience. Some lack of interest. "Is that all you want to say? Ma Mian, take them down and throw them into the 4th level of hell, pregnancy hell." Shen Jian waved his hand and said. He had no mercy for Chen Ji. "We were just teammates for one game, and we never met each other more than a few times, so there was no friendship at all. What's more, he arrested the 4 of Chen Ji just to test the effect of the merit book. If this was released, where would he go to test it? Hear this. Chen Ji? The other 3 people? They suspected they had heard something wrong. Pregnancy hell? What the hell is this? Is there such a thing as the 18 hells? Watching the bull-headed and horse-faced people being escorted down, Shen Jian also had an inexplicable smile on his face. He had the authority to see the 18 levels of hell. I saw the empty 4th level of hell. In this level of hell, Shen Jian invested in the supernatural worm he had taken away from Happy Town, the one inside the pregnant ghost. This kind of poisonous insect will enter the human body and treat the human body as the mother body that breeds life. It uses flesh, blood, nutrients, yin energy, and even organs to give birth to a monster that is born out of the mother's body, and then breaks out of the shell. Devour the mother's body. Shen Jian transformed it. Then the 4th level of hell was transformed into a plague world. Stepping into it, tortured ghosts and evil ghosts will become pregnant instantly. From conception to hatching, it only takes 3 days. Within 3 days, the mother's body will experience the pain of having her organs eaten away and her ghost bitten off. 3 days later, everything resets. Week after week. The 4th level of hell, pregnancy hell, said. Do it all. Shen Jian opened the merit book. 4 rays of merit gushed out from the book, landed in the city god's temple, and merged into Shenjian's stone statue of the city god. Shenjian felt it carefully. A smile appeared on his face. Good. Compared with the merits collected from completing folk prayers on the prayer book, the merits in the merit book are obviously much richer. The merits awarded by the four heinous people are enough to surpass all the merits accumulated by the Chenghuang Temple in more than half a year. This is a staggering number. According to this trend, even if there is no incense, the method of cultivating merits only needs to kill 30 more heinous people, and the merits possessed can be condensed into a 9th-level meritorious golden body. Officially became a yin god. To know. Apart from him, there is no other yin god of his own in the underworld today. Even the ghost sister-in-law Lu Rong, who is the god of Binhai City, is just an ordinary ghost. The position of city god did not change her personality. This may be related to the fact that the underworld is not yet complete and does not have the ability to seal all things. Think about it. Shenjian took the merit book and opened the entrance to the Binhai City God's Hall. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 371. Binhai City. As the ghost sister-in-law of the local city god, Lu Rong was on a routine inspection of Binhai City. Behind her was a housekeeper who had served her during the supernatural auction house. My boss, we have basically mastered the situation in Binhai City. The Daxia Dragon Bird organization here is also very willing to cooperate with the actions of the city god's hall. The frequency of supernatural events has dropped by half. I believe that within a month, we will be able to compete with the Qingxi city next door. Even. The housekeeper reported on the supernatural events in Binhai City during this period. Very good. It's more than 3 months earlier than the agreed time. He should be very happy. Ghost sister-in-law Lu Rong's stern face revealed a smile. Let's go back. The housekeeper was stunned for a moment, her expression a little complicated. She has been helping her boss handle various trivial matters since her days at the supernatural auction house, but this is the first time she has seen her boss change his mood because of a man's joy, anger, and sadness. There is a sense of déjà vu that you have completed the task assigned by the master ahead of schedule and you hope to be praised. She had also experienced this sense of déjà vu with men who went to great lengths to pursue her. Return to the city god's hall. Ghost sister-in-law Lu Rong walked in. He saw Shenjian sitting in the city god's seat. There was an obvious trace of anger on his face. You are a busy man, but you finally thought of me. Shenjian raised his eyebrows and held her in his arms. Giggle, you bad brother. Ours. The movement in the main hall of the city god gradually disappeared. The ghost sister-in-law sat on the main seat that symbolized her position as city god, looking as if the war had just ended. Shenjian took out the merit book. In the next period of time, your focus will be on this. According to my judgment, you only need to capture 30 heinous people, and the merits obtained will allow you to condense a 9th-grade meritorious golden body. When the time comes, only then can you truly secure your position as city god. A 9th-level meritorious golden body is a mandatory condition for the future position of city god in the underworld. If you can't meet the requirements, you can only take charge of it on behalf of others. Of course, the current underworld is still the Kaitai team. The requirements cannot be set so high. But it's always right to set the rules first. Whether it's up to or down is another matter. Thank you, stinky brother. The ghost sister-in-law said pop. She naturally understood Shenjian's purpose in giving this merit book to her. Except for Shenjian, the king of hell who temporarily takes over the position of city god, she is considered to be the first city god in the underworld and a forerunner. The subsequent development of the city god temple will refer to her development model. Her position is of great significance. The same is true for merit books. This is both a gift and a test. As long as she can seize the opportunity, the second largest city god's palace in the underworld will be located in Binhai City in the future. Time flies. Tongluo City Daxialonke branch. The instructor is connecting to the headquarters. At the same time, Qian Quan, the head of Daxialonke branch in Qing City, and Wang Tao, the head of Daxialonke branch in Binhai City, are also joining the meeting. You have also received the results of the interrogation of the richest man in Tongluo City. We used the most advanced rituals to comprehensively observe his situation, and came to a shocking conclusion: he died. According to the other party's statement, the bull-headed horse-faced man came to claim his life for no reason, took away his 50 years of life, and took away the leaders of 4 cities. The test results also showed that the 4 city leaders were dead, even if they were conjoined. There is no trace of the ghost puzzle inside either. What do you think, the underworld, or that prince of hell, wants to do? Here, the address book is quiet. A bull's head and a horse's face are asking for their lives. Anyone who hears this must tremble. If we talk about the underworld's evil forces arresting souls, arresting evil ghosts, and solving supernatural incidents, they are still within their tolerance. The matter of seducing souls across borders, claiming lives, and taking away 4 city leaders at the same time has exceeded their psychological threshold. In this real world where supernatural beings are resurrected and evil spirits are raging, no one here dares to say that what they do is necessarily just. In order to save the majority and give up the plan of a small number of people, they have also implemented it. With this approach, who can guarantee that he will not be arrested by the underworld? At this time, Qian Quan said, the underworld must have a complete set of rules for executing orders, rather than taking random actions. I think the richest man in Tongluo City has reservations about what he said. He is deliberately letting Daxialonke fight against the underworld, at least for the level of the bull-headed horseface. Well, I won't just cross the border and attack a group of innocent people. I apply to allow a ghost master with the power to enter dreams to enter his mind to find out the real information. Everyone present agreed with this plan. Soon, a piece of information was passed over. The richest man in Tongluo City participated in human trafficking and handed over captured ordinary people to Chen Ji to extract their vitality. There were many participants. Finished reading. Qian breathed a sigh of relief. The results are already obvious. In less than half a year, the leaders of the 4 major cities headed by Chen Ji killed thousands of people in total. It is normal for such crimes to be targeted by the underworld. At this time, a voice sounded, have you ever thought about it? The underworld is recovering and expanding its territory. Once it covers the whole country, what should we do if the underworld plans to invade the human world? As soon as these words came out, there was dead silence. Today's underworld is expanding faster and faster. According to the information they knew, in the past 2 months, not only had a brand new city god's temple been opened in Binhai City, but signs of shady activities had also appeared in the surrounding cities from time to time, and the construction of city gods' temples had become more frequent. If this trend continues, within 3 to 5 years, Chenghuang temples will be all over the country. At that time, Yangshi will have neither the ability to resist the invasion of horror games, nor the power to prevent the coming of the underworld. The end result is either assimilated into thriller games, or the underworld takes away its dominance. Either way, they don't want to see it. This was a meeting with no clear outcome. No one dares to easily decide the relationship between the Yang world and the underworld. We can only continue to observe. Looking forward to what kind of twists and turns there will be between the underworld and the horror game. After all, Yangshi is too weak. It can only survive between the 2 giants. The following days, Shenjian is very busy, traveling back and forth in the horror world all day long. In the morning, enjoy a double massage from the beautiful proprietress and the ghost mother at the Rebirth Villa. In the afternoon, I came to Sweet Home Community, enjoying the happiness of the family with my ghost mother-in-law and my wife, and teasing my guilty and shy sister-in-law from time to time. In the evening, we came to the ice and snow castle again and enjoyed an open-air dinner for 3 people with the head of the family Yukino and the little snow girl. Don't get me wrong, it was a late-night snack. The next day, I had to go to the bloody paper tying shop to instruct Mrsuyi on her paper tying skills. In the afternoon, I went to Huangquan Hospital to talk to the female director about the relationship between master and apprentice. This day, after leaving the horror world, Shen Jian received a shocking news. The source of the news comes from the river goddess. Husband, that ink painting you put in the bedroom is out of control. Shen Jian frowned. Ghost painting out of control? Think of this. Shen Jian returned to Villa No. 001. I saw the ink paintings placed in the bedroom. In the original ink painting, there was a copy of a woman whose whole body was covered, with only a pair of star-like eyes showing. But now, the woman in the painting has disappeared. The ink painting becomes a blank sheet of paper. Nothing supernatural. Thinking. The phone rings. Qian Quan's frightened voice also followed, Mr. Shen, the ghost painting is out of control. Look at the sky. Hear this. Shen Jian walked out of the room. At this time, over Qingxi, a picture scroll floating in the sky covering the sky and the sun. Reflecting the outline of a city. Shen Jian looked over. It was not what Qingxi looked like, but like a city painted in a scroll. But it's getting clearer. Qian Quan's voice also sounded at the right time, Mr. Shen, I don't know what happened. Gui Hua, who had stopped his supernatural attacks, launched another attack after a few months. This time, Gui Hua killed everyone who had seen her appearance. All the people were sent into the city in the scroll. Moreover, the city in the scroll has materialized in the real world. A corner of it has appeared in the suburbs. In addition, there are many traces of evil ghosts in the materialized city, and many people have been trapped in it. It's like there's a real city hidden in the scroll, but this is a city belonging to ghosts. Shen Jian took up what Qian Quan said. There was a faint light flickering in his serious eyes. A city's evil spirit. Yes, and the city in the scroll seems to be within the scope of the horror world. I have received news that ordinary people who enter the world of the scroll are forced to start a copy of the game. And the main mission is, to find the real ghost painting.